as well jump right in and talk a little bit about Fableborne. So I know there's many lizards here in the audience who have not heard of the game. I know there was excuse me. I know there was a couple of us that managed to get into the alpha, the pre-alpha, and had some fun in that. But can you give us an overview to what Fableborne is, and if someone had never heard of it, how would you describe the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as I was saying, Fableborne is an isometric, free-to-play, play-to-own multiplayer game that combines elements from ARPGs and base builders. So the game features a unique gameplay loop that acts as a challenging layer for players throughout their experiences. What we're really trying to do is redefine accessibility in mobile games and challenging what competition could be in short, snackable sessions. With Fableborn, as a player, you get to explore the rich story. You venture into the world of Shatterlands, and you get to compete against other players for gold and glory. Once you start exploring, your goal is to explore, scout new islands while building, fortifying your bases, and of course, getting as much resources as you can. So the idea is to combine the worlds from base building, ARPGs, and also from the general strategic elements and games that we have played in the past. So whether you like questing, whether you like bartering, trading, or competing, our marketplace and our ecosystem will always have something. So as an adventurer, you can progress through the world of Shadowlands. Yeah. So our focus, has been on building a unique and challenging experience for each player, and we want players to craft their own story and take on quests that center around their own play style and play as per their own, schedule. So it's not something that you want to be playing for hours, and then could be something that you just want to play for a few minutes. So yeah, short snackable sessions is what we're aiming at, and what really defines Fableborn as a whole.
Yeah, that's a great overview. And you guys are mobile focused, right? Can you play on PC as well, or will be a mobile focused game?
Yes. So currently it will be just mobile focused, and you'll be able to play on your iOS and Android devices. For PC, there are plans somewhere down the road, but not something right now. Our focus right now is making the game as accessible to a wider audience, and mobile is definitely the best place to be, especially with a game of this genre, which really appeals to the audience on the mobile phone rather than it would on a PC.
Yeah, that's great. It's actually the inverse of a lot of what we see in the Web3 space because of, wallet connects and, the development side on having to integrate the NFT assets and all those sort of things. A lot of games start on PC and then, they transition to mobile later. And that's the kind of end goal for a lot of, game studios is because mobile gaming is more casual, right? It's a lot more accessible to everyone. There is still a desktop and PC, gaming demographic, but at the end of the day, there's a wider market for the mobile. And I think it's great that you guys are focusing on that from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's more accessible. It allows us to scale as well. And the wider audience, right? Like that's pretty much out there on mobile. With PC, it's still somewhat gated, I would say. So it makes more sense to be part of and focusing on mobile first and then scaling it towards the PC audience. I mean, I personally like playing games on PC as well, but I can understand that, not everyone has that access. So it's much more easier for us as developers as well to focus on mobile.
Yeah, even myself personally, I am more of a PC and console gamer, but I find myself these days playing games on mobile because of the convenience and being able to just, jump on and play for a few minutes. Like you said, with the bite-sized pieces, it's easier to digest and take, a 10-minute break and play a few games on your phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Short snackable sessions.
Love that. So what's the inspiration behind the game? Is there, a Web2 game or project that you guys are like similar to or that you modeled after? And what features make the game unique and distinct from other games in the genres?
Yeah, I mean, as developers, we always look to like experiment, validate, and iterate on ideas and philosophies. So for us, it was kind of like taking in from different games and seeing what makes a certain game work, what we really enjoy through our own experiences, and what are the kind of genres that we really like to play. And then we just wanted to build something that we would enjoy playing. So for us, it was working as a team, experimenting, prototyping, and seeing what really sticks. And what really for us right now, if you go on the idea, the prototype that we finally stuck around with is what worked. In terms of like the general inspiration from Web2 side, I would say it's more close to Clash of Clans and Diablo, two fantastic games who've really modeled a wide genre of players, and really allowed more masses to come into the ecosystem. So yeah, those are the two games that I would say like are strong inspirations. But as devs, we always try to cater to like what we play, what we learn, and what we want to build. So yeah, it's a bit of both.
Yeah, I was watching some videos. I didn't actually get a chance to play the pre-alpha, but I had some friends who did, and I was checking out some of the videos, and it's an interesting kind of mashup where you have building the little towers, and then it's not quite a tower defense, right? You actually get to control your character and navigate around and try and strategically figure out the best way to move through it. So on that note, can you give us a walkthrough of someone who opens the game for the first time? How do they jump in? What's the sort of gameplay loop they have to go through? And is it different on the attacker side and the defender side? Can you go through the different aspects there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as a new player, once you enter the world of Shatterlands, what you're really starting off with, you have an island that floats in the skies. And now, as a player, it's up to you how you'd like to explore the world, how you'd like to upgrade your heroes, how you'd like to discover new islands, whether you like to farm them, whether you like to trade resources, whether you like raiding. We basically want to open up different experiences to each player as per their playstyle. And this is kind of something that's been not really done so much, because you always have more linear progression, you have more linear ideas about how the game can be played. Some really excellent titles have definitely tried to change the script on this, but for us, we really wanted to make sure that the players as a whole can experience what they want in this world. So, if you're a defender, if you're just someone who wants or enjoys base building and the strategic element, you get to focus on creating defensive structures, fortify towers, create your obstacles and the monsters that the raider would fight. If you succeed in defeating the player that's raiding you, you'll gain resources, which will allow you to again upgrade and build your better bases. If you lose, you're going to lose out on certain resources from, and again, you have to continue exploring the realm and find more islands, whether they'll be player owned or NPC owned, or just owned by other monsters. So yeah, you're gonna be able to battle it out, uh, and basically just build out the way you see fit. That's the core part of it. For us, the core design philosophy is focusing on creating or engaging players through unique experiences, and we are also focusing on building like a competitive and social layer. I think that's something that's missing from a lot of Web2 and Web3 games. You don't have a very core social layer built in where it incentivizes you to interact with other players, with other guilds, clans. Also, focusing more on PvP, PvE events, and really giving players different experiences throughout. So that's what we're aiming for. We're also going to be building out a separate layer for our esports ecosystem. So there will be a lot of competitions that players can access, earn rewards, NFTs, and really be able to compete at their own pace. So lunchtime esports is something that we're really proud of, and we're aiming to engage a wider audience. Right now esports in general is really gated to the 1%. What we're aiming for is to make sure that the 99% of the player base is able to have something that really sticks by them, and they're able to compete as per their own times.
Yeah, that's great because for me, some of the social aspects I think are part of the most fun part of it, engaging in a game. There's single player games I really enjoy playing through in the story, but when it comes to multiplayer games, I think the most fun part for me is actually getting into a party with my friends, getting to hang out, socialize, and then actually play the game together. I've even played games that aren't the most enjoyable to me just because I enjoy jumping on and playing with friends. So is that something that there's co-op play, or is it strictly more of a PvP play in the social side of things?
Right. So yeah, like we also enjoy the social aspect of it. So yeah, we're going to be focusing on PvP, PvE as well. So there will be ways where you can play together in terms of competing or raiding certain islands. So there will be those elements in the game. In terms of sharing progression and resources, that's something that's still to be developed for us and just experiment and validate it. But yes, there will be more core co-op elements in play for the game.
Yeah, I really like that. That's something that would be really engaging because I find on mobile, I often find I'm somewhat siloed off depending on the game. I used to play Clash of Clans once upon a time, and I found that was definitely had a strong social layer where
Yeah.
you had to join a guild if you wanted to play at a high level. Otherwise, you would play very casually if you were playing solo.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, right? Like we don't want to discourage people who are casual players. Like we want to be able to give them a strong incentive to be playing as a community, even if they're engaging casually. You know, it shouldn't be like you get punished if you're not spending hours into the game. Like if you're playing just for a few minutes or a few hours a day, you still are going to be able to have like a shared progress, and that's something that we're focusing on. So just allowing players to compete at their own pace is something which is really driven into our development philosophy.
Yeah, it's a great core mentality to have. I really like that. On the note of Web3, how do Web3 elements integrate into the game? Are those resources NFTs and tradable? Have you guys, ironed out all those details yet, or where are we at with the actual economic model of it?
Right. So, for us, the core idea is to make sure that we create value for players for a longer term. It shouldn't be something that's materialistic in the short term and, on speculation side. So what we're really aiming and experimenting and developing is something that lasts longer for the players and allows, different cohorts of users, whether you're like someone who just enjoys playing games casually, whether you enjoy games competitively, whether you're an investor, whether you're an NFT holder or buyer or trader, there's always going to be something of value for you. With that being said, we've already talked a bit about our overall strategy and how we're going to be dealing with this with a light paper. So I definitely suggest people to look at that. It's already up on our website, fableborne.com. You can get more information regarding what's going to be out there. We definitely will be having more launches this year. So yeah, definitely expect an NFT drop this year.
Well, that's pretty exciting. Everyone in the space loves to, get involved with NFTs, and it's just one of those things that adds a new dynamic to the game, right? It's fun playing the game, but then when you add a new level with the ownership and the trading, and whether it gives you, perks, it just adds another layer onto it. Is there going to be a lot of power levels in terms of the NFTs, or will it be fairly normalized between the different types of NFTs and rarity, or will we see boosts that people can pay to really enhance their gameplay?
Yeah. So I'm definitely not like the right person to talk about this, but primarily because I'm more engaged on the product side and not on the blockchain side. But what I can definitely say is that there's going to be a lot of nuances on how or what the utility for your NFT would be and how it interacts with your progression throughout the ecosystem. So yeah, definitely going to be having a lot more use cases for the particular NFTs for each player.
Yeah, it's all good. It's only the first AMA, and you guys are still pretty early in development, so I know some things won't be ironed out yet, and you don't want to box yourself into a corner by promising something and then having something change later. It's one of those things you have to be pretty adaptable in this space.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like boxing it myself because it's mostly like there are announcements coming in play. It's more like I don't want to additional leak it because we've already talked about it in our AMAs and our town halls over on our Discord. So yeah, we're just trying to like phase out and do it in a more structured way.
Yeah, no problem. I'm always trying to just tease out some alpha. I have to at least try for the ETHLizards, right?
yeah, for sure.
So if we pivot away and maybe just look at the greater Web3 space as a whole, what are some of the trends you're seeing that are working really well in the space and things that you like that other projects are doing? Are there any economic models that you're inspired by that you've seen other projects work on?
So, I mean, I would say like in generally, we're seeing like a very different approach from a lot of developers when it comes to the economic model, how they're structuring their NFT launches, how they're conducting the play tests, and also their overall monetization strategies. For me, what's interesting is that free to own, or better yet, like play to own, has been gaining further adoption. At Pixion, we've been building Fableborne with play to own model in mind since our inception. So, we've been going way back. So we're really glad to see that everyone else is joining the ship. There's a lot of room here. So happy to have these incredible projects in the space, also have similar models. For us, I would say the shift in the mindset and trends has kind of really strengthened our approach. It's validated what we've been building over the course of the last few years. And also, the overall economic model for play to earn, I think, makes most sense because it allows you to scale. It allows your community to have a say and true ownership in your project. And it also, as builders, you get to actually make things of real value for your players, and that's something that's really exciting for me. And even during this bear market, it's just been great to see more projects announce their own free mints and also have their own free own models. I think that's something that's positive for the space, and it's going to be able to help us in the long term.
Yeah, I totally agree there. I think that the bear market has really helped in some ways that the people who are left now are not really the tourists. The people who are left are really passionate about the space and what's being built. And, we're moving away from that play to earn, as you said, which was very focused on value extraction and now focused more on play to own. And, as we've seen with Gabriel Layden and the Digidaigaku, the free to own, because it really empowers gamers, right? Where you're focusing on the actual game assets and the value that gives you in the ecosystem versus how much can you extract. And I think it's a much more sustainable and positive practice. And I really think the bear market has helped, kill the hype and to a certain degree and helped us, reevaluate and focus on the real long-term sustainability of Web3 gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well put. I mean, that's what we really need, like as devs, as people in the space, because the longer and more sustainable the space becomes, the better you're going to have the output coming out. And we're still at like the first few generation of Web3 games, so it's only going to get better, and we're only going to be able to experiment and validate better ideas based on how we progress right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you touched on the fact that we're in the first wave. There's another fellow ETHLizard, Annie. He often mentions we were in layer 0 last year of, just diving in and kind of figuring out what Web3 gaming was. And now we're iterating on that. And, by this time next year, we'll have new models again that we figured out what works, what doesn't, and we'll continue to grow. That's why I think the space is so exciting, because we constantly see new development and new innovation every week even. It's such a fast moving space.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, I mean, it moves so fast. There's always something new to catch up on. And, the best part is like the playbook is not written, right? Like there's no limitations on how we're supposed to be doing things. Like it's, in the old free to play era, we were always kind of tied in, like how we're going to be doing UA, how we're going to be doing our dev. But right now with Web3, it's still, open season, it's open grounds, you get to experiment, you get to do a lot of different approaches and see what works and really sort of develop your own internal playbook.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens and how the financial models start to change, because as we know in free to play, you were only monetizing the top couple of percent of players. Whereas I wonder now in Web3, are we going to see a larger number of players willing to spend, a small to moderate amount of money on a game so that you can actually monetize a larger player base, but for a smaller amount as opposed to a very small, minute percent that, are very, very large spenders. I'm really excited to see how it changes. So on what challenges do you think we're going to see in the next, we'll say 6 to 12 months, and are there any kind of headwinds that we're facing as we continue to innovate and develop in this space?
I'd say, like, in terms of challenges, just from a game dev perspective, it's nothing but like a constant barrage of challenges. Whenever you start building, eventually you release, even after years of your release, there's always something new that kind of pops up. So game dev, it's always been like this open barrage of, challenges that we face with Web3 and, building out Web3 games. I think it's like in a similar space, but we do have certain challenges that still need to be more worked out compared to like how you would in a Web2 sense. UX being something primary, like that's something that always everyone talks about. And the core reason I would say, like, why UX becomes a challenge is not because it's difficult to make players understand like how the processes work. It's more about the fact that we as industry, it's the perception, people have a lack of trust. So whenever, even if you're a project, when you're doing great, you're doing it right by the book, how you would do in a Web2 space, you come into the Web3 space and the perception is kind of really difficult to tackle. And having, being or finding players or devs or team members who are excited about this space becomes a challenge. So for me, like the first obstacle that I see for Web3 is just the perception, like creating a layer of trust and just revamping the reputation that the industry has faced and as still faces with all these collapses and rug pulls and everything that just leaves a very sour taste in people's mind. And as a community, we really need to do better and route the bad actors out, and then only we can start building the space. And once we start building the space, the second challenge I see is scalability with games and dApps, with any interaction that comes into place, the associated costs with each interaction that you have on chain, it just becomes harder to scale. And with players as well, right? Like it has to be more positive ROI for them, because if they're constantly paying for certain fees, it needs to be validated that, okay, if I'm paying for this, then what value am I getting? Is it just monetary value? Is it better experience? Is it just something that's more immersive? So you have to answer those things, and games that are able to do that, those are the games that are going to scale. And that's what most devs need to aim for with this.
Yeah, totally agree. I think UX and UI is a big pain point in crypto as a whole right now, but then especially in the Web3 gaming space. How are you guys taking the challenge of integrating wallets on mobile and being able to bring the assets in? Do you have a strategy for that already? I've seen some companies are doing custodial wallets. This way, it makes it a bit more seamless for onboarding some of the Web2 players, and then they can transfer assets out into their own wallet for self-custody. Are you looking at some kind of similar strategy to that?
Yes. I mean, we want to be able to give as many options to players. So whether they come in from the Web2 side, whether they come in from the Web3 side, whatever their preferences are, we want to be adhering to that. So we're not like really forcing players to follow just one approach. It's more about giving them access to whatever that they feel most comfortable with, whether they like to have a custodial wallet or a non-custodial wallet, it's up to them. And we're integrating, all aspects of our game with that in mind, because we want to be keeping the ecosystem open. So whether you're a third-party dev, whether you're working as just a player, or you're just a trader, or you're someone who's operating as an organizer for events or such, and you want to be able to have certain integrations, you're just going to be able to have a lot of flexibility in this terms.
Yeah, that's great. It's always about having options, right? Players, you're going to have a different audience. Some players are going to be the hardcore Web3 people that love self-custody, and then you'll have those Web2 players that they don't really care so much. The idea they can trade their assets is cool enough to them. They don't care so much about the principles of self-custody and all that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to be able to give them the experience that they require, right? And there's no way that you should punish anyone because of how they want to engage with a particular game.
And on that note, what chain are you guys building on? Are you looking at a layer 2 to have faster transactions that are cheaper and more scalable, or have you picked a chain yet, or is it still early on that?
I would say like there's not someone who's like essentially saying that this is the chain that.
Oh, sorry, you've cut out a bit. It sounds like you've kind of gone far away.
Yeah, is it better? I hope so.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah. So AVAX is the ecosystem that we've been building upon, and we've been part of the ecosystem for a while, and that's a chain that we've seen at least experimented and seen that there's a lot of great use cases for it. So yeah, AVAX is where we're at right now, but there's with game dev, there's always some new challenges that come in, so you never know where the future lies.
Yeah, I'm seeing AVAX become more and more popular for games. We are ETHLizards, so there's we got some ETH maxis in the audience, that's for sure. I know that I'm a predominantly ETH user myself, but I'm seeing more and more games develop on things like AVAX, so I definitely will be exploring that chain. At the end of the day, I'm looking for whatever has the good experience, and it doesn't really matter too much which chain it is once it's a quality chain that's fast, easy to use, and you're having a good game experience at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what matters.
So what stage of your building are you at? I know you had the pre-alpha a couple of months ago. Do you have another gameplay test coming up soon, or any exciting new announcements?
Oh yeah, this is going to be actually like the year of a lot of exciting announcements, a lot of exciting playtests, and just generally a lot of great energy that we're bringing into the scene. like you mentioned, we did our pre-alpha last year, and it had great reception. For me, I've done a lot of games, I've worked on a lot of releases. This was very surprising because the kind of reception that we got is something that I've not seen for any project that I've worked in the past, and we just want to be continuing to build up on that, and we've decided to have release a more bigger cadence of releases. So we're going to be doing a lot more playtests in the future, and yeah, we're going to be doing our alpha as well this year. So we're quite further along in dev, and we're really excited to showcase the game to the community.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I missed out the last one, so I'm looking forward to getting in the next one. Will we be jumping from pre-alpha to alpha on the next playtest, or
Yes.
is that not announced yet?
Yeah. No, that we're going to be definitely jumping into alpha first in the first half of this year.
Awesome. And do you have any date lined up for your mint yet? I know you guys are doing some whitelists, and on that note as well, if anyone has any questions, feel free to request to speak. We'll be taking the top questions at the end, and there'll be rewards with some whitelist spots.
Well, I feel like I've already dropped a bit of alpha here, so the exact date I'm gonna keep a bit close to my chest. But yes, do expect an NFT drop. For anyone who's interested in keeping up with it, you can check out our socials. That'll be the best place to get info, or you can join our Discord. That'll be the second place as well for you to catch up on. We do a lot of more announcements over on Discord. Like we also talked about our year of Fableborne, how we're going to be shaping this year, and what kind of tests we're going to be doing. And anytime we do an open community playtest, it's going to be first on our Discord.
Excellent. And just a couple of people requested already, but I just want to finish out our last couple of questions we had. Was there any other projects in the Web3 space that you think are innovating really well and they are an inspiration to you, or you just really like what they're building overall?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great projects, to be honest, and it's hard to kind of keep up with so many great projects coming into the space. I always end up discovering more. I actually have a specific Notion doc where I just keep track of new projects, and it's I think it's down to like some 700 plus projects now. But the ones that really do stand out for me is, apart from Fableborne, of course, is the Beacon and Shatterpoint. And I'm also loving what the guys at AI Arena have been doing. I think that's a very cool approach into building a community and building the game around it. So yeah, those are some of the projects that I'm really excited for.
Yeah, those are some great picks. I've been following those projects myself, and more mobile focused, right? Which is, I think, again, a big miss if people are just kind of focusing on the desktop side of things. I like that there's some more solid mobile projects popping up. So it looks like we have OJ, you have requested to speak. I think you're able to come up now and ask your question.
Hello, GM everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hear you loud and clear.
Fableborne, please, I wanted to ask, would it be available for only NFT holders or the general public?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and for us, scalability and accessibility is the main core pillar. So what we're aiming for is creating different experiences for players who want to be experiencing Fableborne. So it's going to be accessible for players, but there are going to be different or set of unique features that are going to be just with the people who have been supporting the project.
Okay. So aside that, like, what are other benefits of holders aside playing the game?
Okay, that part I definitely cannot get into this time because that's some more alpha that I cannot drop right now.
Okay. So let's say, sorry, this is just like the last question. When compared to other Web2 games like PUBG or COD or stuff, I know I love games like that, but like what would make me want to play the game? Like what makes it fun compared to other Web2 games?
Right. What makes it fun is, the essential part that you get to craft your own experience. You're not limited into what you're supposed to be doing. That's one. Secondly, you can play at your own pace and still have your continued progress. So, in games like PUBG, in Free Fire, where if you're not competing for a longer term, then, you're dropping out your rankings. There's going to be a decay system. You're not going to be up there and be able to unlock as much for your battle pass. Those are the things that kind of demotivate you or kind of punish you for not spending enough time engaging with the game. And we are trying to to flip the script and make sure that players who play for a duration of a small session or longer, it's still going to be able to tie in and give you a better sense of progression, but not limit you so that you're never punished for not spending enough time or spending too much time.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this last one, quick here. A lot of gaming projects have been coming up, and they're all making it free. So I wanted to ask, did you like tag a price to your mint, or is it also going to be free like other projects like Digital Villains, and the rest of them?
Yeah, so that's something again which would be best for us to declare at our usual AMAs.
All
You'll have to wait for the official announcement, OJ.
Yeah,
Thanks for the question.
I cannot leak everything.
All right, thank you very much.
We're digging for the alpha today. It's what we have to do around here. Raven, I think you were the next person. I've tried to add you. I don't know if my Twitter Spaces is just bugging, but I've added you as speaker, but it still shows as requested. If you can try to come and speak. All right, we'll try to get Raven up in a minute, but Feather, I believe you were the next one up, so if you want to pop up and ask your question.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, just wanted to see, this may be more alpha digging, but just wanted to see, are there plans? When I was reading the white paper, it's been a few days, may have forgotten, but wanted to see, there was some element of if you were to get like raided or something or lose in a PvP battle, there's a chance that I believe that you could lose your assets and your player could kind of die, but the potential to come back stronger. My question is the land itself an NFT, or are just the resources in your character an NFT that, if that makes sense, I guess?
Yeah, so in terms of the resources that you lose out, that's tied in more to the in-game economy, and what we are aiming for is essentially, of course, yes, you will be punished if you have a weaker base, and there will be comeback mechanics as well. So you are able to, essentially chart your way back into the game and not lose out. So yeah.
Gotcha. And do you know whether the land itself, will that be an on-chain asset, or is that just kind of like an in-game asset?
Honestly, right now, that's something that I would not be the best person to even know about, because that's something that's not my best area of expertise.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you, Feather. Good questions as always. Sam, you're up next.
Hey, thanks. Hey, Vasu. Yeah, I wanted to know more about like the marketing side, and I'm specifically kind of curious about the preparation that goes into some of these projects. Like, were you guys, brainstorming the roadmap and putting pieces together, like theoretically, like 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 2 years ago? How long has that stuff been in the works? And now that you're able to come out and do Twitter Spaces and really talk about the product at least a little bit more, you're finally rolling that stuff out, and I'm sure it feels good to be able to like talk about this thing that you've been building for a long time. But I would love to get a sense of like the timeline that you've had.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's a great question, Sam, and love to answer that. So yeah, we as devs, or as anything that you have to kind of roll out, you plan really, really further ahead. For us, it's been a year of planning, strategizing, poking holes in our own plan, seeing what makes sense, seeing what the community really enjoys, and then just planning our entire marketing cycle around it. So it's been a year in the works, and it's like anything, right? It's more like an iterative process. So even when we do plan out like, okay, this is how we're going to be doing our campaign, there's going to be some areas where we still have to improvise, areas where we have to make changes. So it's an ongoing process, but it's, the initial plans have been laid out a year in advance, and we're just now starting to roll out our first set of ideas and how we're going to execute this roadmap for this coming year, which is why we've been more open and, just coming out of stealth and just talking more.
It's gotta feel so good seeing it all come together after all that hard work. And thanks for sharing it with us. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been a long journey, especially as devs, to be able to keep things close to your chest. But now it's great to be able to finally talk to the community and just share our progress.
Yeah, I think Sam's not letting it on that he's from Wolvesdow, and Wolvesdow has been stalking Fableborne for quite a while. I believe there was a breakdown post about it almost a year ago at this point. Wolvesdow is pretty good at finding pretty early projects and gaming projects and keeping an eye on them, even when they're in stealth. The way people find projects, it never ceases to amaze me in there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, for me, when I was early in my time joining Pixion, and I was just researching Pixion, and I was looking around, and I was part of Wolfsdot. So I just looked around, and I was like, oh wow, it's already here. So I was like, okay, not as well hidden as I'd supposed.
Yeah, I think still hidden from the greater Web3 space, but there's some people in the Wolves who are pretty good at finding. So that's just a little plug for Wolves now as well.
For sure.
All right, doesn't look like anyone else requesting to speak. If anyone, I had Raven here who looks like he's stuck. I don't know if you want to try and quit and join back in, Raven. I might be able to get you up to speak. If anyone else has questions, feel free to request. But in the meantime, Vasu, if you can let us know if people want to get involved with Fableborne a bit more or learn more about the project, where should they go?
Yeah, the best place would be our socials. So it's at Fableborne on Twitter, or you can join our Discord. That's the second best place. Apart from that, you can keep up with our website as well. So we have an active newsletter where we share more updates with the community as well. So those are the best places where players can, everyone can get involved with the project. I would say one of our Discord community though is just really great, and we of course as devs we tend to drop more and interact more with the community over there, and share more insights and live builds and gifs from our current progress. So yeah, that's the best place to be.
So there's the tip, everyone. If you want to get the secret alpha and read between the lines, you got to get into the Fableborne Discord and get engaged there and see what's happening. All right, do you have anything else you wanted to share with the audience before we start finishing up, or any other points that you feel like we might have missed?
I think we covered pretty much a lot of it, and it was honestly a great session for me. This is one of the first AMAs that I've done for Fableborne, so it was great to be here and have everyone join in, and of course give their valuable time and listen to us and talk about our game. So yeah, it was great, and obviously thanks to you guys for giving us the platform to talk about it.
You crushed it. I didn't realize it was only your first AMA. So yeah, definitely looking forward to jumping on and doing some more again in the future. Maybe when we get closer to mint time, when there's a mint date announced or something like that, we can kind of regroup and dive in there on more details. And I'm sure the lizards will have some more questions once they've learned a bit more about the project.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. I'll just give it one last quick see if we have anyone for questions. Doesn't look like it. So yeah, thanks, everyone, for popping in and joining us. And make sure you jump in and join Fableborne's Discord. I pinned a tweet there to the top. So if you guys go give them a follow, you can check out their little trailer video there. Oh, no, no one requested still. I thought there was a new request. So thanks, guys. Have a good evening or good day, everyone. Good evening, Vasu, because it's nighttime for you. Take care.
All right. Thank you, everyone.